There is a silent harmony guiding all things, and your aligned energy determines the song your life will play. The universe responds not to your words, but to your vibration, reflecting it back through the unchanging law that like attracts like. As you listen, you'll awaken to the truth that by shifting your energy, you step into a reality that was always waiting for you. Aligned energy. Introduction. In this eternal dance of energies, you remain the conductor of your own symphony. Every thought you hold resonates at a specific frequency, reaching out into the vastness of existence like ripples across an infinite pond. These vibrations, whether born of joy or despair, confidence or doubt, act as magnetic signals drawing their energetic equals back to you. The universe operates through this immutable principle, like attracts like. It mirrors your inner state with unwavering precision, reflecting back the exact frequency you emanate. When anxiety clouds your mind, circumstances arise that justify that unease. When gratitude fills your heart, blessings multiply as naturally as flowers turning toward sunlight. This mirroring occurs not through judgment or preference, but through the mechanical precision of universal law. Just as gravity doesn't choose which objects to pull earthward, the law of attraction responds to all vibrations equally. Your task is not to force or manipulate this law, but to align yourself with its natural operation. True alignment emerges when you recognize your inseparable connection to source energy. Fear dissolves in the light of this understanding, replaced by an unshakable knowing that you are an extension of the same force that orchestrates cosmic cycles and ignites stars. Your emotions serve as your internal guidance system, precisely calibrated to indicate when you're moving toward or away from alignment. Each feeling offers valuable feedback about your vibrational relationship with your desires. By consciously choosing thoughts that feel better, you deliberately tune yourself to frequencies that match your aspirations. This awareness transforms you from a passive receiver of circumstances into a conscious creator of experience. As you maintain consistent alignment with elevated frequencies, external reality reshapes itself to match your inner state. This is not magical thinking, but the practical application of universal law. Remember, you are always creating through your vibration. The only question is whether you're doing so by default or by design. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Frequency of Awakening. Chapter 1. The Whisper, Before Momentum. In the gentle whispers of dawn, a woman named Millie Carter would come to understand one of life's most essential truths. She sat at the water's edge, her dreams seemingly scattered like shells upon the shore. Each morning she would watch the waves, wondering why her aspirations felt so distant, until nature itself offered its timeless wisdom. The salt wind carried more than just the scent of the sea. It carried an ancient message. No authentic desire ever truly fades. It is only our attention that wanders, like clouds passing before the ever-present sun. Your deepest yearnings remain as constant as the tide, waiting for your awareness to return to them. This truth speaks to the heart of manifestation. Before any dream takes physical form, it must first be held in the silence of pure potential, just as a seed germinates in darkness before breaking through soil. Your desires gather momentum in stillness. long before any external evidence appears. At his hardware store in a small town, Chester Ray discovered this principle through necessity rather than choice. Day after day, he gripped tightly to his vision of success, tracking every sale, controlling every detail until exhaustion set his spirit weary. Then came a day when he simply let go. He opened his store that morning without expectations, without the usual anxiety that had become his constant companion. And in that space of surrender, something remarkable occurred. Customers flowed in as naturally as a stream finding its course, more numerous than any day before. The universe operates not through force, but through allowance. Like water, it follows the path of least resistance. When you release your grip on outcomes, you create space for miracles to enter. The very energy you once used to control now becomes available for creation. Your role is not to push the river, but to align with its flow. The power that orchestrates galaxies requires only your permission, not your persistence. In the depths of silence, far from the noise of doubt and struggle, your dreams gather momentum. They are drawn to you not by the volume of your demands, but by the clarity of your emotional alignment. To embrace this wisdom, find a quiet moment and settle into stillness. Breathe deeply, imagining each exhale carrying away layers of resistance and control. Feel gratitude rising naturally like the morning sun. In this space of calm acceptance, guidance flows as surely as the tide returns to shore. Trust that the universe already holds your dreams in perfect orchestration, waiting only for your gentle allowing. Chapter 2. The Compass of Feeling. Long before the age of digital navigation, Dottie Mae Jones found solace in the crisp edges of paper maps. She could trace routes across continents, yet the landscape of her own emotions remained an uncharted wilderness. Until one autumn morning, when a missed train became her greatest teacher. Standing on the empty platform, her initial frustration slowly gave way to an unexpected peace. In that moment of forced pause, she noticed how her body relaxed as she surrendered to what was. The truth revealed itself. Your feelings are not mere passengers on life's journey. They are your internal compass. Within you lies an emotional guidance system more sophisticated than any navigation tool ever created. Each feeling serves as an immediate translator, converting your degree of alignment into physical sensation. When discomfort arises, it speaks not of failure, but of temporary discord between your thoughts and your deeper truth. These emotional signals operate with perfect precision, offering constant feedback about your relationship with the universal flow. Leonard Price encountered this wisdom through his art. In his studio among rolling hills, he would spend hours wrestling with his canvases, trying to force beauty into being. His landscapes felt lifeless, lacking the vibrance he knew existed in nature. Then one day, exhausted by effort, he simply began to paint what brought him joy. As his brush moved with ease rather than obligation, something magical happened. His colors came alive, dancing with an energy that seemed to flow through him rather than from him. His experience mirrors a fundamental truth. Creativity, abundance, and all forms of manifestation flow through the same channel as joy. When you attempt to push through resistance, you block the very energy seeking to express itself through you. Self-criticism never leads to inspiration. It only creates more resistance to overcome. Your emotions serve as an instantaneous spiritual technology, bridging the gap between thought and manifestation. They translate universal energy into physical sensation, offering moment-by-moment guidance about your alignment with source energy. Ancient practice of emotional alignment. Throughout your day, pause to sense the wisdom your body offers. Notice any areas of tension or resistance. Rather than fighting these sensations, allow gratitude to soften them. Observe how peace becomes your truest direction, your inner North Star. As you honor what brings comfort and ease, watch how life naturally reorganizes itself around your serenity. This practice, passed down through generations of wisdom keepers, reveals that your emotional well-being is not just a result of circumstances, but a powerful force that shapes them. The universe speaks through the language of feeling. When you learn to trust this inner guidance system, you discover that the path to manifestation requires not effort, but alignment. Chapter 3. The Mirror of Thought. In a small coastal town where fishing boats painted morning shadows on calm waters lived Fern Louise Harper. Each day she would gaze at her reflection in her shop window, arranging items for sale while silently listing all the reasons why success eluded her: the economy, the location, the timing. Yet the universe held a lesson waiting to unfold. One dawn, as silence filled her empty store, Fern caught herself mid-complaint. In that rare moment of stillness, she heard her own thoughts echoing back at her through the vacant space. The revelation struck. Her circumstances were not separate from her inner dialogue. They were its perfect reflection. This speaks to an essential truth of universal law. The outer world operates not as your judge, but as your mirror. With unwavering precision, it reflects back the mental patterns you maintain most faithfully. Your persistent thoughts become the template from which your reality is cast. When you alter your mental conversation, the reflection must follow, though often with a delay that tests your conviction. This gap between shifted thought and manifested result is where many abandon their new understanding, returning to old patterns before the mirror can adjust its image. Walter Dean Henry discovered this principle through matters of the heart. After his engagement dissolved, bitterness colored his every interaction. He saw only evidence of betrayal and loneliness, unaware that his resentment was painting his world in those exact shades. Then one evening, exhausted by his own anger, Walter chose curiosity instead of blame. He began wondering what possibilities might lie beneath his pain. As his inner dialogue shifted from accusation to openness, an extraordinary transformation occurred. New friendships appeared as if by magic. Connections deepened. Love, in various forms, began flowing into his life from unexpected sources. His story reveals a fundamental truth. New frequencies cannot occupy the same space as old narratives. Just as you cannot simultaneously smile and frown, you cannot maintain thoughts of lack while experiencing abundance. The universe responds not to your wishes or wants, but to your most sustained mental positions. The wisdom here runs deep yet simple. Tend to your inner story, and the outer scenery will adjust accordingly. Your circumstances are not random events happening to you. They are reflections happening through you, mirroring your most persistent thoughts with perfect fidelity. Ancient practice of mirror alignment. Begin each day by treating your thoughts as sacred conversations with the universe. When a complaint arises, pause and consciously rephrase it into a preference. Rather than lamenting what is wrong, speak of what you wish to see. Instead of "I never have enough time," try "I am learning to use my time wisely." Rather than "no one appreciates my work," shift to "I am drawing those who value what I offer." Continue this practice until your mental mirror shows only what you wish to see illuminated by your evolving beliefs. Remember, the universe has no choice but to reflect your dominant thoughts. It is through this law that you become the conscious author of your experience. Chapter 4. The River of Allowing. In the misty hills where ancient wisdom still whispers through morning dew, Hazel Doreen Cole pursued success like a hunter tracking elusive prey. Each day she climbed higher up ambition's slope, certain that happiness awaited at some distant peak. Her calendar overflowed with appointments, her mind buzzed with strategies, and her spirit grew weary beneath the weight of constant striving. Until one dawn, when exhaustion led her to pause beside a flowing river. As first light painted the water gold, she watched how it moved, not by forcing its path, but by embracing every curve of earth beneath. The river didn't fight gravity or push against stone. It simply allowed itself to flow, and in that allowing lay its unstoppable power. Here lies a truth as old as the mountains themselves. Allowing is not passive surrender, but active alignment with universal forces. When you cease resistance, you tap into currents far more powerful than personal will. Like water finding its way to the sea, life moves through you most powerfully when you release the need to control its every motion. Your role in manifestation is not to force reality into submission, but to align with the natural flow of universal energy. This requires a profound shift from making things happen to letting them unfold, from pushing to allowing, from resistance to acceptance. Clyde Franklin Boone discovered this wisdom in the maze of corporate life. For years he harbored resentment toward coworkers who seemed to advance while he remained stuck. His bitterness created an invisible wall, blocking collaboration and opportunity. Then, through life's mysterious workings, he found himself too tired to maintain his grievances. As his resistance melted, an extraordinary transformation occurred. Suddenly colleagues sought his input. Projects flowed smoothly, and opportunities appeared as if by magic. His experience illuminates a fundamental principle. The universe responds most generously when we release our grip on how things should be. Your dreams don't require force, they require alignment. Like a sail catching wind, your role is to position yourself in harmony with universal currents, not to push the boat through sheer will. The ancients knew this secret. Struggle is not a prerequisite for achievement. When you align with universal flow, creation becomes effortless. This doesn't mean you don't take action. It means your actions arise from inspiration rather than desperation. You move with life's current instead of against it. Ancient practice of effortless allowing. Find a quiet moment and imagine yourself floating on a gentle river of pure ease. Feel the water supporting you completely, carrying you forward without any effort on your part. As you float, release each worry, each strain, each need to control outcomes. Let them dissolve like sand washing away in the current. Remember, allowing is not abandoning your dreams. It's trusting them enough to let them find their way to you. When you release resistance, you open the channel through which all good flows naturally. Your only task is to remain in this state of peaceful allowing, knowing that the universe's wisdom far exceeds your plans for how things should unfold. Practice this visualization whenever you feel yourself striving too hard or pushing against life's natural flow. Let the river of universal energy carry you toward your highest good, understanding that sometimes the path of least resistance leads to your greatest achievements. Chapter 5. The Fragrance of Awareness. In a small garden at the edge of town, Nora Pearl Finch made a discovery that would transform her understanding of life's hidden forces. Each morning she tended her flowers, roses, lilies, and marigolds that painted her yard in vibrant hues. Yet she began to notice a curious pattern. The same watering routine yielded dramatically different results depending on her state of mind. On mornings when joy filled her heart, the blooms seemed to dance with vitality, their petals more lustrous, their stems more robust. But when worry clouded her thoughts, these same flowers appeared to withdraw, their colors dimming despite receiving identical care. This simple observation unveiled a profound truth. Energy flows through every action, carrying the signature of your consciousness. Your thoughts and feelings are not mere internal experiences. They are living frequencies that infuse everything you touch. Each gesture, no matter how small, carries the vibration of your current state. The universe responds not just to what you do, but to the energy with which you do it. Eugene Vernon Brooks stumbled upon this wisdom in his modest bakery. For years, he had followed the same recipes with precision. Yet something changed the day his heart overflowed with unexpected joy. As he mixed the dough, humming melodies that rose spontaneously from his spirit, the bread that emerged from his oven possessed a quality his customers had never tasted before. The ingredients remained the same, but the frequency of his happiness had become a secret ingredient more potent than any measure of flour or yeast. This truth extends far beyond gardens and bakeries. It touches every aspect of your existence. When you send an email, your energy travels with your words. When you prepare a meal, your frequency seasons the food. When you embrace a loved one, your vibration speaks louder than your touch. The quality of your consciousness determines the quality of your creation. Mechanical action, devoid of presence, yields mechanical results. But when you infuse your actions with aware, appreciative energy, even the simplest task becomes an act of creation. Ancient practice of conscious creation. To align with this principle, bring mindful awareness to your daily routines. As you wash dishes, feel gratitude for the water flowing over your hands. While preparing for sleep, let appreciation fill the act of turning down your bed. When typing messages, pause to infuse your words with genuine care. Practice until your very presence begins to carry the subtle fragrance of contentment, until your daily life becomes a walking meditation of conscious creation. Treat each moment as sacred, understanding that your energy imprints itself upon everything you touch. In this way, the mundane transforms into the magical, and every action becomes an opportunity to broadcast the frequency of joy into the world. Chapter 6. The Seed of Intention. In a small valley where morning mist clung to the earth like memories, Lola Grace Abbott knelt in her garden, hands deep in soil that held more wisdom than she initially understood. Year after year, she had planted her vegetables with diligence but little expectation, accepting whatever grew as nature's whim rather than her creation. One dawn, as sunlight painted the dew golden, she realized her harvest reflected not the quality of her seeds, but the measure of her belief. In that moment of clarity, she began speaking to her garden as though it were an extension of her consciousness. Each seed she planted became a promise she made to herself, each sprout a confirmation of her new truth. When autumn arrived, her harvest had doubled, not through different methods or enhanced effort, but through the power of aligned intention. Her garden had become more than soil and seed. It transformed into a living demonstration of the universe's response to clear direction coupled with unwavering faith. You see, intention sets the trajectory of manifestation, while emotion provides the fuel for its journey. When you plant your desires in the fertile soil of clarity, marking them with precise vision, and nurturing them with consistent feeling, the universe conspires to bring them into bloom. Merritt Clyde Benson discovered this truth through a simple yet powerful experiment. Rather than scattered wishes, he chose one clear intention: to feel prosperous. He didn't outline how this prosperity should arrive or burden his intention with specific demands. Instead, he maintained the feeling of abundance with the same dedication one might water a precious plant. Within months, opportunities began appearing in his life as naturally as flowers turning toward the sun. A chance conversation led to a new business partnership. An overlooked investment matured at the perfect moment. A forgotten talent found unexpected demand. The world seemed to rearrange itself around his singular, focused intention. His experience reveals the elegant simplicity of manifestation. Clear desire combined with relaxed faith creates the optimal conditions for your intentions to materialize. Vagueness in your wanting breeds delay, while precision paired with joyful expectation opens pathways previously invisible. The ancient practice of intention setting. Find a quiet moment at the start of each day. Speak one desire aloud, not a list of wants, but a single crystal-clear intention. Feel the certainty of its manifestation as tangibly as you would feel soil rising beneath sprouting seeds. Let delight fill you before any evidence appears. Just as a gardener smiles at newly planted earth, already tasting the sweetness of fruits yet to come. This practice aligns your energy with the natural laws of creation. Like Lola's garden and Merritt's prosperity, your clear intention becomes a beacon that guides the universal forces toward manifestation. Remember, the soil of the universe is always fertile, waiting only for the seeds of your focused desire. Chapter 7. The Lens of Belief. In a bustling marketplace where fortune seemed to favor everyone but her, Opal June Barrett watched others' success with a mixture of admiration and quiet resignation. Each triumph she witnessed appeared to confirm her deepest conviction, that luck chose its favorites, and she was not among them. Then came the day she met an elderly woman selling wilted flowers, lamenting that fresh blooms always perished in her care, while others' arrangements flourished. In this stranger's words, Opal heard her own voice, saw her own story reflected with such clarity that she could no longer avoid its message. The woman's beliefs about her misfortune had become a self-fulfilling prophecy, just as Opal's had shaped her reality. Your beliefs act as filters through which you perceive and experience life. These filters, like colored lenses, tint everything you see, selecting which possibilities can manifest in your visible reality. When you believe in limitation, The universe cannot show you abundance, not because it withholds, but because your lens filters it out. Every conviction you hold becomes a prescription through which you view the world. Change the prescription, and reality shifts accordingly. This truth operates with mathematical precision, responding not to what you wish for, but to what you deeply believe is possible for you. Russell Boyd Kinley's story illustrates this principle with striking clarity. For decades, his cynicism had constructed a world where nothing worked out, where effort was futile, and where dreams were fool's gold. Then one morning, exhausted by his own narrative, he made a radical choice: to believe in small possibilities. He began with modest adjustments to his expectations, allowing room for occasional good fortune. To his amazement, serendipity began appearing in his daily life. A chance encounter led to a job opportunity. A wrong turn revealed a beautiful shortcut home. A rainy day brought an unexpected connection. The world hadn't changed. His lens had. These experiences weren't coincidences, but demonstrations of an eternal truth. Life never argues with your beliefs. It simply manifests them with unwavering loyalty. Whatever you accept as true becomes the template for your reality. The ancient practice of lens refinement. Begin by observing any pattern that consistently appears in your life, whether in relationships, work, or daily circumstances. Notice how this pattern reflects a core belief you hold about yourself or the nature of reality. Now, consciously choose a new lens through which to view this aspect of life. Each morning, take a moment to polish this new lens with thoughts that align with your desired experience. Feel the clarity of this adjusted vision. Watch as the outer world gradually conforms to your refined perception. For the universe has no choice but to reflect the beliefs you hold most steadily. Remember, you are not changing reality. You are simply removing the filters that prevented you from seeing what was always available. Like Opal discovering her power to attract fortune, or Russell finding serendipity, your shifted beliefs will create openings for new possibilities to emerge. Chapter 8. The Symphony of Gratitude. In a small town where life moved at an unhurried pace, Clara Ruth Monroe discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of universal law. Her journey began with a simple notebook, its chapters blank and waiting. Without grand expectations, she started recording moments of gratitude each evening. The warmth of sunlight through her kitchen window, the aroma of fresh bread, the sound of rain on her roof. What began as casual notation soon revealed itself as powerful spiritual technology. With each entry, she noticed her emotional frequency shifting, becoming clearer, more refined. The practice tuned her inner state more effectively than years of attempting to discipline her thoughts through sheer will. This revelation unveils an essential truth about the nature of manifestation. Gratitude is not merely a virtue. It is a force that multiplies whatever frequency you currently hold. When you direct appreciation toward any aspect of life, you simultaneously align with the source of all creation. This alignment happens automatically, requiring no special technique beyond genuine thankfulness. Think of gratitude as the master key that unlocks the universal storehouse of abundance. It operates not through complexity, but through the simple power of recognition. Each moment of appreciation sends ripples through the quantum field, attracting more experiences that match its vibration. Felix Howard Latham understood this principle during an extended illness that had left him feeling disconnected from life's flow. Rather than dwelling in discomfort, he began deliberately noting everything for which he could feel grateful: the comfort of his bed, the dedication of his caregivers, even the strength of his body to heal. As he shifted from complaint to appreciation, unexpected moments of relief began appearing. His symptoms eased during periods of gratitude. Sleep came more easily on evenings filled with thanks. Even his medical tests showed improvement that coincided with his shifted perspective. His experience demonstrates that gratitude's influence extends beyond emotional well-being into physical reality. The body itself responds to the frequency of appreciation, as though thankfulness creates an optimal environment for natural healing to occur. This truth points to a profound understanding. Gratitude is not a response to good fortune. It is the very frequency that attracts it. When you thank life for its gifts, you synchronize with the heartbeat of abundance itself. This synchronization opens channels through which greater blessings can flow. The ancient practice of gratitude, attunement. As you move through your day, whisper silent thanks for the ordinary moments that usually pass unnoticed. Thank the morning light for greeting you, the water for refreshing you, the air for sustaining you. Let appreciation infuse every simple task: preparing food, walking down a street, speaking with others. Continue this practice until you sense your awareness itself beginning to hum with grateful music, a melody so consistent that misfortune finds no silence in which to take root. This vibration becomes your natural state, attracting circumstances that match its harmonious frequency. Chapter 9. The Architecture of Desire. In the quiet hills beyond the city, Edna Violet Crane lived surrounded by beauty, yet felt a persistent emptiness. Each evening she would watch couples stroll past her garden gate, their shared laughter floating on the breeze. Her heart yearned for such connection, yet the moment desire sparked, fear would rush in to extinguish it. This dance between longing and doubt reveals one of life's most essential truths. Desire itself is sacred architecture. When you feel a pure wish stirring within, you glimpse the universe's blueprint for your joy. That flutter of wanting is not random. It is divine design reaching toward manifestation. Yet many stand in this sacred space of desire while simultaneously constructing walls of doubt around it. They pray for love while believing themselves unworthy, dream of abundance while clutching scarcity, hope for health while expecting illness. This contradiction creates spiritual stasis, like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and one on the brake. The universe responds not to what you want, but to your dominant frequency around what you want. When desire and belief align, creation flows unimpeded. When they conflict, manifestation stalls. Gerald Lloyd Pritchard understood this only after decades of financial struggle. A talented craftsman, he would price his work low, believing wealth somehow meant greed. Though he longed for prosperity, guilt tainted every dollar earned. One morning, watching the sunrise, he finally gave himself permission to want abundantly. "I accept that I can be both prosperous and good," he whispered. Within months, his craft gained recognition, and opportunities multiplied as though they'd simply waited for his self-acceptance. His story illuminates that desire fulfilled requires inner harmony. You need not justify what you want or qualify your wishes. The mere presence of authentic desire indicates its rightness. If it lives in your heart, it belongs in your life. When you find yourself caught between wanting and doubting, remember, desire is the universe's love letter to your potential. Your role is not to judge it, but to receive it with grace. Let your wishes breathe without the weight of fear or guilt. Feel the relief in finally allowing yourself to want what you want. To practice, find a quiet moment each day to bless your desires as creative fire. Rather than grasping or questioning, rest in calm anticipation. Let wanting feel like savoring what is already on its way. For in this gentle acceptance, you create the very conditions through which your dreams can materialize. Chapter 10. The Melody of Trust. Long ago, in a distant village, Susie Bell Turner watched her garden wither despite faithful tending. Each morning, she watered the soil and whispered encouragement to dormant seeds, yet weeks passed without a single green shoot breaking Earth's surface. Doubt crept in like morning frost, until the day her neighbor's child left a handful of wildflower seeds on her doorstep. The next morning, her entire garden had sprouted overnight, as if nature had simply been waiting for this precise moment. The universe operates with impeccable timing, though rarely according to our limited schedules. Trust is not merely a virtue. It is a frequency that aligns your energy with the natural order of creation. When you resist divine timing, you create interference in the very frequency that carries your manifestations to fruition. Consider how music relies on both notes and the spaces between them. Without pauses, melody becomes chaos. Similarly, manifestation requires periods of apparent stillness, while unseen forces orchestrate perfect conditions for your desires to emerge. Your trust during these intervals maintains the harmony necessary for creation. Marvin Ellis Dawes embraced this wisdom through an unexpected encounter. After losing his wallet containing his month's savings, he spent 3 days in anxious prayer. On the 4th morning, a stranger appeared at his door, returning not only the wallet, but with additional money enclosed. "You are blessed," read the anonymous note inside. This experience transformed Marvin's relationship with uncertainty, teaching him that universal benevolence operates beyond our limited perspective. What appears as delay often serves as preparation. When you trust the timing of the universe, you enter a state of resonance with the natural rhythm of manifestation. Doubt creates resistance, while trust allows energy to flow unimpeded toward its perfect expression. Your role is not to force the universe's hand, but to maintain alignment through unwavering faith in divine timing. Each moment of trust strengthens the magnetic field that attracts your desires, while every doubt introduces static into the frequency of creation. To practice, find a quiet space and close your eyes. Breathe deeply and affirm with each breath, "I trust that unseen order arranges all things for my highest good." Feel tension dissolve as you relax into the universe's perfect rhythm. Continue until you sense an inner knowing that all is well, that everything unfolds in its appointed time. Let this feeling of deep trust become your natural state, knowing the universe orchestrates each moment with precise and loving care. Part 2. The Dance of Alignment. Chapter 11. The Echo of Joy. In the heart of winter, Bessie May Harmon wandered through her garden, where frost had claimed the last autumn blooms. For years she had carried the weight of disappointment like a heavy cloak, believing that seriousness was the path to resolution. Each morning, she would study her problems with stern concentration, convinced that intensity would yield answers. Then one morning, as she watched a sparrow hop playfully through frozen branches, something shifted. The bird's simple joy, so out of place in the winter landscape, sparked an unexpected laugh from deep within her. In that moment of pure delight, the solution to a long-standing family conflict appeared with stunning clarity. The universe operates on frequencies, and joy resonates at the highest vibration. When you approach life with heaviness, you anchor yourself to slower energies that delay manifestation. Joy is not merely an emotional luxury. It is the most powerful magnetic force available to consciousness. Consider how children manifest their desires. They do not analyze or strategize. They simply play their way into creation. Their natural state of delight allows desires to materialize with remarkable speed. This is not coincidence but law. Joy accelerates alignment while resistance creates delay. Floyd Vernon Keane discovered this truth during the darkest period of his professional life. His business ventures had stalled, and conventional wisdom suggested working longer hours with greater intensity. Instead, guided by inner wisdom, he began taking daily joy breaks, moments where he would tell jokes, dance in his office, or recall amusing memories. At first, his colleagues thought he had lost his mind, but within weeks, synchronicities began appearing. New clients emerged from unexpected places. Creative solutions arose effortlessly. His entire career transformed not through added effort, but through the magnetic power of sustained joy. Joy is not an escape from reality. It is the doorway to your highest creative power. When you maintain consistent joy, you broadcast a frequency that the universe must match. Problems that seemed insurmountable under serious analysis often dissolve in the presence of genuine delight. The wisdom lies not in denying life's challenges, but in approaching them with lightness. Joy is practical spirituality in its purest form. It bypasses the mind's complications and speaks directly to the universe's natural inclination toward expansion and delight. To practice, choose one activity today that serves no purpose except to ignite your joy. Let it be something that makes you smile spontaneously, perhaps dancing to a favorite song, playing with a pet, or revisiting a childhood game. As you engage in this pleasure, feel how the energy around you begins to shift, aligning with your lighter vibration. Notice how solutions and opportunities naturally gravitate toward this elevated frequency. The universe always matches the song you sing. Let yours be one of joy. Chapter 12. The Bridge of Detachment. Long ago, in a distant village, Martha Ellen Briggs gripped life so tightly her knuckles turned white with effort. Each morning she would meticulously plan every hour, desperately trying to orchestrate circumstances to her advantage. Her gardens were precisely trimmed, her schedule rigidly maintained, her relationships carefully managed. Yet despite her fierce hold on control, happiness remained elusive, slipping through her fingers like water. Then came the storm. Dark clouds gathered without warning, winds howled through her perfectly ordered world, and rain lashed against her windows with wild abandon. As thunder shook the ground, Martha realized she could do nothing but surrender to nature's chaos. In that moment of forced release, a curious peace washed over her. For the first time in years, she simply breathed. This surrender marks the gateway to true manifestation. When you release your grip on how things must unfold, you allow the universe's infinite wisdom to arrange circumstances beyond your limited vision. Control is an illusion that blocks the very abundance you seek. The bridge between desire and manifestation can only form in the space of trust. Norman Clyde Phillips discovered this truth through his own journey. As a merchant, he had always insisted on specific outcomes in his business dealings. Each transaction was a battle of will, each negotiation a test of force. Success eluded him until the day he exhausted himself with trying. In that moment of surrender, he simply stated his intention and released all attachment to how it would manifest. To his amazement, opportunities began flowing from unexpected directions. Deals materialized with ease, partnerships formed naturally, and prosperity arrived through channels he never could have planned. The universe, freed from his demanding energy, delivered results far surpassing his original vision. Your desires are seeds planted in fertile soil. Constant digging to check their progress only disturbs their growth. When you detach from outcomes while maintaining clear intention, you allow universal forces to work on your behalf. This is not passive resignation, but active trust. Not giving up, but giving over. Let the bridge build itself. Your role is to maintain the frequency of your desire while releasing anxiety about its arrival. The universe knows the shortest path between intention and manifestation, but that path often looks nothing like your carefully constructed plans. To practice, find a quiet moment and imagine yourself standing in the middle of a bridge spanning the gap between your current reality and your desired outcome. Feel the solid planks beneath your feet, the gentle sway of the structure, the breeze on your face. Notice how you can be both in motion and at rest, both committed to your destination and peaceful in the present moment. Let your breathing slow as you recognize that arrival is guaranteed by the very excitement that inspired your journey. The bridge is building itself, plank by plank, through your willingness to trust the process. This ancient wisdom reminds us, what you seek is seeking you, but the meeting place lies in the space between grasping and surrender. Stand there in faith, knowing that your release of control paradoxically ensures your arrival. Chapter 13. The Light of Clarity. Long ago, in a bustling marketplace, Mildred Rose Tate rushed between stalls, her arms laden with baskets and bundles. Each day brought new tasks, new errands, new obligations. She measured success by the length of her to-do lists, pride swelling with every item crossed off. Yet despite her constant motion, fulfillment remained elusive, like water slipping through cupped hands. One scorching afternoon, her body finally rebelled. Exhaustion drove her to rest beneath an ancient olive tree, where stillness revealed what activity had masked. Her life had become a maze of meaningless motion. In that moment of forced pause, wisdom whispered its timeless truth. True power flows not from doing everything, but from doing what matters with unwavering attention. The universe operates through precise frequencies, each aligned with specific intentions. When your energy scatters across countless pursuits, your creative force disperses like light through a clouded crystal. But when you focus your essence on a single point, that concentrated beam becomes powerful enough to illuminate paths previously hidden in shadow. This principle manifests in every corner of existence. Notice how sunlight, when focused through a magnifying glass, generates intense heat at a single point. Observe how a river, channeled through narrow banks, gains the force to carve through stone. Your consciousness operates by these same laws. Wilbur Allen Crowe embodied this truth. For years he dabbled in various ventures, painting, writing, music, crafts. His talents spread thin across multiple domains. Though skilled in many areas, mastery eluded him. One winter morning, while watching sunlight stream through his workshop window, he realized the power of choice. He set aside all pursuits, save one: wood carving. As days passed, his singular focus transformed rough lumber into expressions of pure beauty. Customers who once passed his shop now stopped, drawn by the masterful pieces displayed in his window. His work, infused with undivided attention, began commanding prices that surpassed his previous combined income. More importantly, his spirit found peace in this aligned purpose. When you scatter your energy across too many paths, none receive enough nourishment to fully bloom. But when you direct your full attention toward one clear intention, the universe conspires to manifest that vision. This is not limitation. It is liberation through focus. To practice, find a quiet moment each morning. Speak your clearest desire aloud, letting each word resonate with pure intention. Continue until the vibration of your words feels like a beam of light, cutting through mental fog and illuminating your path forward. Let this focused intention guide your thoughts throughout the day, gently steering them back whenever they begin to scatter. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Pulse of Receiving. Ida Josephine Welch wandered through life perpetually yearning for miracles. Each morning she whispered prayers for abundance, yet when kindness approached, she withdrew like a flower closing at dusk. A simple, "You look radiant today," would make her shake her head and list her flaws. When neighbors offered help with her garden, she insisted on struggling alone. Every rejection, however small, became a brick in an invisible wall between her desires and their fulfillment. The universe operates through cycles of giving and receiving, like the continuous exchange of breath between sky and earth. When you resist receiving, you interrupt this sacred flow. Each denied compliment, rejected offer of help, or dismissed stroke of luck sends a signal to the universal forces that you are not ready for more. The law of attraction responds not to your words of wanting, but to your energy of allowing. Percy Edwin Cole understood this truth only after his pride nearly cost him everything. For years, he refused all assistance in his carpentry business, viewing self-sufficiency as strength. Then, one winter morning, when ice made his ladder treacherous, a passing stranger offered to steady it. In that moment, something in Percy softened. He accepted the help, and that simple act of receiving cracked open a door he didn't know was closed. Within weeks, opportunities flowed. Apprentices appeared asking to learn, customers referred friends, and a wealthy collector commissioned an entire set of furniture. His willingness to receive in one small moment had shifted his entire frequency of allowing. This humble lesson illuminates a profound truth. Manifestation requires completion. Like a circuit that must be closed for electricity to flow, Your connection to abundance needs both the positive pole of desire and the negative pole of acceptance. When you refuse to receive, you break this circuit, leaving your manifestations incomplete. To align with this wisdom, begin practicing reception in its simplest forms. Notice how often you deflect appreciation or decline assistance. Each time you allow yourself to receive gracefully, whether a compliment, a favor, or a moment of ease, you strengthen your capacity for greater blessings. To practice, smile whenever life offers ease, letting yourself feel worthy enough that the universe keeps refilling your open palms with possibility. This ancient exercise in receiving will gradually dissolve the barriers between you and your miracles, allowing manifestation to flow as naturally as water finding its level. Chapter 15. The Garden of Thoughts. In a small town among rolling hills, Dorothy Lou Carver tended her physical garden with meticulous care, yet remained blind to the wilderness growing in her mind. Each morning she would inspect her roses for signs of blight while simultaneously feeding the thorny thoughts that pricked at her peace. The universe operates through an unwavering principle. Your mind is perpetually cultivating conditions, whether you choose the seeds or not. Just as a garden left untended will sprout whatever seeds the wind deposits, your consciousness attracts circumstances matching its dominant frequency. Dorothy discovered this truth one autumn morning when her neighbor's child innocently remarked, "Why do you always say bad things will happen?" The question pierced her awareness like sudden sunlight through clouds. For the first time, she recognized how her constant anticipation of problems had created a harvest of precisely what she feared. The law of attraction responds to mental agriculture with perfect precision. Each thought you plant takes root in the fertile soil of universal energy. Positive expectations bloom into favorable circumstances, while negative assumptions sprout into challenging situations. There is no judgment in this process, only the natural response of life to the seeds you sow. Ralph Henry Boone understood this principle when he inherited his father's struggling hardware store. Instead of dwelling on declining sales, he began deliberately cultivating thoughts of growth and service. Each morning, he would imagine customers leaving his store satisfied. Each evening he would count blessings instead of worries. Within months, his mental garden yielded tangible fruit. Sales increased, customer loyalty strengthened, and opportunities appeared as naturally as flowers following spring rain. His story reveals the power of conscious mental cultivation. The universe doesn't distinguish between seeds planted intentionally or accidentally. It simply provides the conditions for growth. Your thoughts, like seeds, multiply according to their kind. When you master the art of mental gardening, you become the conscious creator of your life's landscape. To practice, dedicate time each day to inspect your mental garden. Pull out thoughts that smell of doubt and decay. Plant instead ideas rich with possibility. Water them with attention and watch how your outer world begins to mirror your inner cultivation. Let optimism take root until your entire life blooms with evidence of careful tending. Remember, the garden of your mind never rests. It grows with or without your conscious participation. Choose your seeds wisely. Chapter 16. The Language of Emotion. Along a winding mountain path, Winnie Pearl Fowler carried a heavy heart beneath a practiced smile. Each morning she would paste on positivity like a mask, believing that spiritual growth meant banishing all shadows from her inner landscape. Yet the more she pushed away her true feelings, the more distant she felt from the life force she sought to embrace. The law of attraction responds not to the words you speak, but to the vibration you embody. When you deny your authentic emotional experience, you create interference in your energetic broadcast. It is like trying to transmit a radio signal through static. The universe cannot clearly receive your true frequency. The deepest truth about manifestation is this: alignment comes not from forcing false light, but from allowing your inner world its full expression. Each emotion carries wisdom, and even seemingly negative feelings serve as messengers guiding you toward greater wholeness. When you honor the full spectrum of your emotional landscape, you clear the channel through which abundance flows. Chester Paul Worth discovered this profound truth during the winter his beloved wife passed away. For months he attempted to push through grief with affirmations and forced gratitude, yet found himself feeling increasingly hollow. It wasn't until he finally allowed himself to fully experience his loss that genuine healing began. One evening, as tears flowed freely, he felt something shift within, a deep peace emerging not despite his grief, but through it. By giving himself permission to feel deeply, he discovered that even sorrow could be a gateway to authentic alignment. His story illuminates that truth felt fully becomes a bridge to genuine transformation. The universe speaks the language of vibration, and authenticity always vibrates at a higher frequency than denial. When you suppress any emotion, you create resistance to the natural flow of life force. But when you meet each feeling with gentle awareness, you allow energy to move freely, transforming naturally like water flowing over stones. To find this sacred balance within yourself, begin with this ancient practice. Sit quietly each day and welcome whatever emotions arise, treating each one as a messenger carrying wisdom. Place your hand on your heart and breathe deeply, allowing each feeling its voice without judgment. Notice how even difficult emotions begin to shift when met with compassion instead of resistance. Continue this gentle dialogue until you sense the subtle harmony that emerges when all parts of yourself are welcomed home. Remember, true alignment comes not from forcing light, but from allowing all that you are to be present in the grand symphony of creation. In this honest space, manifestation flows with natural grace, and the universe responds to the authenticity of your being. Chapter 17. The Current of Presence. In a modest apartment overlooking the city, Etta Grace Lowry lived life at full speed, rushing between obligations while beauty beckoned unnoticed. Each morning brought a fresh list of tasks. Each evening closed with exhaustion, until persistent back pain forced her to pause. One afternoon, confined to her desk by discomfort, she witnessed sunlight streaming through her window, painting golden patterns across her workspace. In that moment of enforced stillness, time seemed to expand, and she glimpsed the sacred dance of dust motes in the light, a display that had occurred countless times before, waiting for her attention. The universe speaks in the language of now. When you align with present awareness, you step into the eternal moment where all manifestation originates. This sacred space exists beyond past regrets and future anxieties, in the infinite field where thought transforms into reality. Your power to create lies not in yesterday's momentum or tomorrow's plans, but in the vibrant alertness of now. The present moment is the only point where energy can shift, where intention can take root, where the universe receives your signal clearly. When you rush through life, your frequency scatters like leaves in wind. But in presence, your vibration crystallizes into pure potential. This is why masters throughout time have emphasized the power of now, not as philosophy, but as practical creation technology. Olin Reed Mathers discovered this truth in the pre-dawn hours at Silver Lake. Each morning, he would sit in his small wooden boat, rod in hand, as mist rose from the water. At first, his mind churned with worries and plans, but gradually the lake's stillness taught him to fish for something deeper than trout. In the quiet moments between thoughts, solutions arose unbidden, opportunities appeared like ripples on water, and life's flow became as natural as breathing. His mornings by the lake revealed that presence is not passive. It is the most powerful form of participation in creation. In stillness, he found himself becoming a clearer channel for inspiration, synchronicity, and grace. The fish he caught became secondary to the clarity he gathered in those dawn meditations. The meaning whispers clearly. Manifestation occurs only in the present moment. The past exists as memory, the future as imagination, but creation happens in the eternal now. When you enter full presence, you step into the same space where stars are born and galaxies spiral, the timeless point where all possibilities converge. To practice, pause between breaths and sense how time thins when awareness expands, revealing creation always unfolding here. Let your attention rest in the space where breath enters and leaves, noticing how that gap between moments opens into infinity. Feel how presence itself becomes a portal through which the universe can reach you with its endless gifts. Chapter 18. The Equation of Service. A gentle rain fell on the window of Velma Jean Porter's small charity office as she stared at the mounting pile of requests for help. For 15 years she had given everything, her time, her energy, her heart, to those in need. Yet now, as fatigue settled deep in her bones, she wondered why her dedication left her feeling hollow instead of fulfilled. One morning, watching a fountain in the town square, she observed how it continuously flowed without emptying. The water recycled endlessly, giving and receiving in perfect balance. In that moment, a truth crystallized. True service flows from abundance, not sacrifice. When you serve from depletion, you unknowingly transmit the frequency of lack. Every act of giving must first begin with filling your own cup until it naturally overflows. This is not selfishness. It is the fundamental law of sustainable service. Just as a well must be full to nourish a village, your spirit must be replenished to truly uplift others. Caleb Thomas York discovered this wisdom while managing his community theater. For years he drove himself to exhaustion, believing sacrifice measured dedication. Productions felt heavy, rehearsals drained everyone's energy. Then one day, he decided to direct only the plays that filled him with genuine excitement. He began each rehearsal with music that made his heart soar. He took breaks when inspiration waned. A mysterious transformation occurred. Not only did his own energy revive, but the entire company began to sparkle with renewed purpose. Audiences doubled, then tripled. The more he followed his joy, the more his work uplifted everyone it touched. His story reveals that when service flows from wholeness rather than wounds, its impact expands exponentially. The universe responds not to the action itself, but to the energy beneath it. Giving from obligation carries a subtle frequency of resentment that diminishes both giver and receiver. But when you share from authentic inspiration, you tap into the endless wellspring of source energy. This higher vibration nourishes all it touches and returns to you multiplied. When you align with this truth, service becomes sustainable. You need not deplete yourself to help others. Indeed, the most powerful gifts you can offer arise naturally from your own state of abundance and joy. To practice, give only from inspiration that feels sparkling, trusting that aligned generosity sustains both ends of the exchange eternally. Chapter 19. The Reflection of Relationships. In a small coastal town, Ruby Ann Fields walked along the shoreline, wondering why love kept leading her down familiar paths of disappointment. Her relationships followed a pattern, beginning with promise, but inevitably dissolving into patterns of neglect that felt hauntingly familiar. Each partner seemed different on the surface, yet somehow managed to reflect back the same wound she carried within. The universe speaks through repetition, and in relationships, this truth becomes most evident. Every interaction serves as a mirror, reflecting not what you want, but what you believe you deserve. Your relationships commemorate the frequency you maintain about yourself. They are living testimonials to your self-regard. When you discount your worth, the universe cannot override that vibration. It must, by law, deliver experiences that match your inner dialogue. Those who treat you as less than precious are merely echoing the whispers of doubt you harbor about yourself. This is not punishment, but precision, the law of attraction responding to your deepest beliefs about worthiness. Julian Boyd Carter discovered this truth after years of attracting partners who seemed unable to commit fully. His breakthrough came not through seeking another relationship, but through an inner courtship with himself. Each morning, he stood before his mirror, speaking words of appreciation to his reflection until they felt true. He learned to treat himself with the tenderness he sought from others. Within months, the quality of attention he received from others shifted dramatically. People began responding to him differently, not because he had changed his appearance or circumstances, but because he had altered his energetic signature. His story reveals that external love can only rise to meet the level of love you hold for yourself. The meaning crystallizes. Relationships are not random encounters, but precise reflections of your self-concept. When you adjust your inner relationship, outer relationships must realign to match this new frequency. This is not theory, but natural law, as absolute as gravity, as reliable as the tide. To practice, begin an inner romance with yourself. Speak words of affection to your own heart until they feel natural. Let each interaction become an opportunity to maintain this loving frequency. Notice how others begin responding differently as your self-regard stabilizes at a higher vibration. Your relationships will transform not through seeking different partners, but through becoming a different signal. In this way, love becomes not a search, but a resonance, not a need, but an overflow. Chapter 20. The Silence of Trusting Timing. In the small town of Willowbrook, Mamie Claire Douglas paced her garden each morning, watching buds that seemed frozen in time. Her dream of opening a local flower shop remained stalled, each setback feeding her growing impatience. Month after month, opportunities appeared only to dissolve, leaving her wondering if the universe had forgotten her altogether. Then came the frost that never should have happened, a late spring chill that destroyed most of the region's flowering plants. But Mamie's garden, not yet in bloom due to what she had seen as delays, survived untouched. In that moment, she glimpsed the hidden wisdom in divine timing. When you align with universal flow, you begin to recognize that timing itself is a sacred force. What appears as delay often serves as protection, preparation, or precise positioning. The universe operates through infinite coordination, weaving countless threads into a tapestry your human mind cannot fully comprehend. What seems like postponement is actually perfection, unfolding at the exact pace required. Every manifestation contains within it the perfect timing of its arrival. Just as a flower cannot be forced to bloom before its season, your desires manifest according to a divine schedule that accounts for all variables, seen and unseen. Resistance to this timing creates suffering. Acceptance reveals its brilliance. Lester Roy Haney discovered this truth when his musical theater audition was unexpectedly postponed. Initially devastated, he used the additional weeks to strengthen his voice and presence. When the rescheduled audition finally arrived, he performed with a confidence that would have been impossible earlier. The delay had served as an incubation period for his talent to fully mature. His experience illuminates the deeper truth. What you perceive as waiting is often the universe positioning all elements for optimal success. Just as a master chef knows precisely when each ingredient should enter the pot, the universe orchestrates timing with impeccable precision. Your task is not to force the process, but to trust its unfolding. The wisdom of divine timing reminds us that manifestation is not simply about what arrives, but when it arrives. Each delay carries hidden purpose, protecting you from premature action, allowing circumstances to align perfectly, or giving you time to grow into the person who can receive what you've asked for. To practice. When encountering what feels like delay, breathe deeply and whisper gratitude for the unseen perfection at work. Feel appreciation for these sacred pauses as moments when alignment completes its masterpiece. Let your trust in divine timing become as natural as trusting the sun to rise each morning, knowing that everything arrives at the precise moment it should. Part 3, The Art of Becoming. Chapter 21. The Flame of Imagination. In a small apartment overlooking a busy street, Tilly Jane Morton lay awake each night wrestling with worries about the day ahead. Her mornings arrived heavy with dread until she discovered an ancient practice that transformed her dawn hours. Rather than rehashing concerns, she began crafting gentle scenes in her mind before sleep, imagining herself moving through her day with grace and ease. Within weeks, her actual mornings began mirroring these peaceful visions with uncanny precision. The universe operates as a vast imagination workshop, where thoughts held with feeling become templates for physical form. Your mind is not merely a processor of what exists. It is the sacred architect of what will be. When you imagine with emotional conviction, you provide the universe with detailed blueprints for manifestation. Every structure that exists first took shape in someone's imagination. The chair you sit in, the room around you, the life you currently lead, all began as thought forms before materializing in the physical world. This process never ceases. Your imagination continues crafting tomorrow's reality even now. Ernest Dale Browning understood this when he faced constant discord in his household. Rather than trying to control his family's behavior directly, he began spending time each evening imagining scenes of harmony, the sound of laughter at dinner, the feeling of peaceful conversations, the warmth of easy companionship. He infused these visions with such genuine emotion that they began feeling more real than the current tensions. Within months, the atmosphere in his home transformed to match his inner pictures, as if reality had no choice but to follow imagination's lead. His story reveals that imagination paired with feeling becomes a powerful catalyst for change. The key lies not in forcing outcomes, but in creating such vivid inner experiences that the outer world naturally reshapes itself to mirror them. Imagination is not escapism. It is the preliminary sketch of tomorrow's manifestations. This wisdom whispers that your imagination is sacred territory where possibility takes its first breath. Every vision you hold with emotional conviction becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of infinite potential. The universe responds not to your words or actions alone, but to the feeling-toned images you maintain in your consciousness. To practice. As you prepare for sleep each night, create a sanctuary of imagination where you explore the feelings of your desired reality. Let these visions be so rich with detail and emotion that they comfort you into certainty, knowing that reality must eventually mirror what you've imagined with such clarity. Float into sleep carrying these images like beloved companions, trusting that while you rest, the universe begins weaving your dreams into tomorrow's tapestry. Chapter 22. The Path of Non-Resistance. In the heart of an old town, Sadie Lou Phelps guarded her wounds like precious heirlooms, believing that holding on to past hurts somehow protected her dignity. Each slight, each betrayal, each moment of pain she collected and preserved, until the weight of these memories began to dim her natural radiance. Yet transformation found her on an autumn morning when she watched leaves release their grip on branches, floating gracefully to earth without resistance or regret. The universe whispers an eternal truth. Resistance to what was creates a barrier to what could be. When you cling to grievances, imagining they shield you from future harm, you actually anchor yourself to the very energy you wish to transcend. Non-resistance isn't about dismissing your worth or denying injustice. It's about aligning with a force more powerful than conflict itself. This sacred law reveals that forgiveness operates not as surrender, but as liberation. It's an acknowledgement that your spirit is too vast to be contained by yesterday's shadows. The energy once spent maintaining old hurts becomes available for creating new possibilities. Horace Milton Drew discovered this wisdom while managing his family's hardware store. For years, he harbored resentment toward the competing shop that had once spread rumors about his business practices. The bitterness colored every decision, every interaction, until one day he consciously chose to release it all. Within months, not only did the tension dissolve, but unexpected collaborations emerged, bringing prosperity to both establishments. His story illuminates that forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened. It's about freeing yourself from carrying it forward. When you release the need to be right, to punish, to preserve pain as proof, you create space for grace to enter. The universe responds to this opening with renewed vitality, often resolving situations in ways your wounded mind could never have engineered. The deeper meaning reveals itself. Every grudge is a block in your energetic field, while forgiveness restores the natural flow of life force. Your freedom doesn't depend on others changing or apologizing. It relies solely on your willingness to release what no longer serves your highest good. Ancient practice of release. Find a quiet moment each day to sit in stillness. Bring to mind any situation that still carries emotional charge. As you breathe deeply, bless each memory that arises, even the painful ones. Let your exhale smooth the sharp edges of old hurts. With each breath, feel the lightness that comes as you choose peace over position, understanding over judgment. Continue until you sense inner ease arising naturally, guiding you toward new beginnings unburdened by the past. Chapter 23. The Beacon of Faith. In the quiet hours before dawn, Georgie Nell Draper knelt beside her worn armchair, whispering prayers that felt hollow against the darkness. Night after night, she spoke words of hope while doubt gnawed at their edges, until that extraordinary evening when something shifted within her chest, a warmth, a vibration, a knowing that transcended mere wishing. The certainty hummed through her body like a forgotten melody finally remembered, and in that moment she understood the difference between asking and receiving. The universe operates through unwavering spiritual law. Faith is not blind hope, but rather the emotional signature of manifestation already complete. When you align with this frequency of absolute knowing, you activate forces beyond physical sight. This certainty creates a bridge between the unseen and the seen, between potential and reality. Faith exists as evidence itself, not evidence visible to eyes, but felt within the soul's deepest chambers. It is the preview of manifestation, the energetic template from which physical form emerges. When you touch this level of knowing, doubt dissolves not through force, but through recognition of a higher truth already present. Amos Lee Denton embodied this principle during the great market crash that swept through his small town. While others saw only closed shops and empty streets, he sensed opportunity hovering just beyond sight. He walked those desolate streets each morning, holding steadfast to an inner vision of prosperity that defied external conditions. Where others perceived walls, he felt doorways waiting to open. Within months, his unwavering faith magnetized investors who shared his vision. Buildings that stood abandoned transformed into thriving businesses. His story illuminates that faith is not passive waiting, but active creation, the ability to hold steady in your knowing while the physical world catches up to your inner truth. The deeper meaning reveals itself. Faith operates as spiritual technology, translating energy into form. It is the language through which consciousness speaks to matter. When you cultivate authentic faith, you are not hoping for change. You are witnessing it in its primary form before it manifests in the physical realm. To practice, select one desire close to your heart. Sit quietly and allow yourself to feel the satisfaction of its fulfillment as though it has already manifested. Let this feeling of completion fill your body until gratitude rises naturally. Hold this state gently, even when logic questions its validity. Return to this practice daily, knowing that your sustained faith is quietly rearranging the universe to match your certainty. Chapter 24. The Spiral of Expansion. Once there lived a woman named Nellie Ruth Banks who carried a heavy burden of guilt whenever she yearned for more in life. Though blessed with comfort, each new desire felt like ingratitude, as if wanting additional joy somehow diminished her appreciation for present gifts. She would silence her dreams, believing contentment meant remaining exactly where she was. Then, one spring morning, while tending her garden, Nellie watched as a rosebud slowly unfurled its petals. In that moment she understood. The rose didn't apologize for blooming. It didn't question whether it deserved to open further, or worry that its expansion might offend the other flowers. Nature itself was an endless dance of becoming. The universe whispers this truth through every growing thing. Expansion is not greed, it is life's natural rhythm. Each fulfilled desire creates space for new dreams to emerge, like breath flowing in and out, like tides rising and falling, like seasons cycling through their eternal dance. To resist this movement is to deny the very essence of being alive. George Paul Light discovered this wisdom through his own journey. As his small bookshop grew successful, initial joy gave way to guilt about wanting to open a second location. But watching children's eyes light up as they discovered new stories helped him understand. Success wasn't meant to be a final destination, but rather fuel for greater service. His expansion allowed more lives to be touched, more dreams to be sparked. His story reveals that when we align with growth's natural momentum, guilt transforms into gratitude. Each achievement becomes not an endpoint, but a platform from which to reach higher, to serve deeper, to express more fully. The universe delights in our becoming. This truth liberates us from the false choice between gratitude and growth. Every fulfilled desire is meant to birth the next, like a tree that grows taller only to catch more sunlight to share with the forest below. Evolution is not greed, it is infinite gratitude in motion. To practice, celebrate each desire as life stretching through you, eagerly, joyfully alive to create again. Chapter 25. The Radiance of Forgiveness. Ivy Jo Merrick carried hatred like armor until surrender melted it. For years she clutched grievances close, believing they protected her from future harm. Each slight, each betrayal became another layer of steel around her heart. The weight grew heavier with each passing season, though she mistook this burden for strength. One autumn morning, while arranging flowers in her shop, an elderly woman entered seeking roses for her husband's grave. 50 years we had together, the woman shared, her eyes bright with love rather than loss. Even when he hurt me, I chose to forgive. That's how love grows deeper than pain. The words pierced Ivy's carefully constructed defenses. Teaching reveals an eternal truth. Forgiveness is not weakness, but profound recalibration of your energetic frequency. When you hold on to hurt, you anchor yourself to lower vibrations, mistaking imprisonment for protection. Forgiveness does not excuse the action. It frees you from carrying its weight. The person forgiven may benefit, but the one who forgives ascends to higher consciousness, where past pain transforms into wisdom. This sacred alchemy occurs because forgiveness aligns you with universal love, the highest frequency in existence. When you release the need to be right, to punish, to remember wrongs, you create space for grace to flow through you. This grace naturally elevates your vibration, attracting experiences that match your newfound lightness. Rodney Dean Fletcher discovered this truth unexpectedly. After decades of blaming his father for childhood abandonment, he found himself sitting in a park, watching a young father play with his son. Something shifted within him, not because his father's actions were right, but because holding on to bitterness had become heavier than letting go. As he released years of resentment, warmth spread through his chest like internal sunlight, replacing the cold grip of blame. That evening, for the first time in 30 years, he slept without the familiar tension in his shoulders. Within weeks, opportunities appeared that had seemed perpetually blocked. His relationships deepened, his creativity flourished, all because he had cleared the channel through which abundance flows. The deeper meaning whispers, "Forgiveness cleanses your frequency, removing distortions that prevent clear reception of life's gifts." It is not about forgetting or condoning. It is about freeing yourself from vibrations that keep you tethered to past pain. To practice, find a quiet moment and visualize past hurt as dark smoke around your heart. Watch it dissolve into golden warmth with each breath, leaving only wisdom glowing quietly in its place. Feel the lightness that remains when grievances surrender to grace. Chapter 26. The Heartbeat of Purpose. In a small valley town, Maisie Pearl Holiday searched endlessly for her life's purpose, collecting self-help books and attending workshops that promised to reveal her destiny. Each morning she gazed at her reflection, asking, "What am I meant to do?" Yet the answer remained elusive until the day she noticed how time disappeared when she tended her garden. In those moments, her hands in the soil, all questioning ceased. The universe speaks through joy, not through shoulds. When you align with what brings you natural delight, you tap into the current of divine purpose flowing through all things. Purpose is not a destination to reach, but a frequency to embody. Like a river finding its path to the sea, your innermost excitement guides you toward your highest expression. Henry Clyde Parsons discovered this truth after retiring from 40 years of accounting. For decades, he had suppressed his artistic inclinations, believing them impractical. Yet in retirement, when he finally allowed himself to paint, his canvases began selling at local galleries. More importantly, he felt alive in a way that transcended monetary success. His art became a channel for something greater than himself. The wisdom rings clear. Purpose manifests not through external validation, but through internal resonance. When you follow what lights you up inside, you naturally serve the world. Your joy becomes a beacon, drawing others toward their own authentic expression. This is how the universe orchestrates its grand symphony, through each being playing their unique note with pure delight. The secret lies not in finding purpose, but in allowing it to find you through the things that make your heart sing. Every moment of genuine enthusiasm is the universe whispering, "Yes, this way." Your only task is to listen and follow that subtle guidance. To practice, trace every excitement to its quiet source and let it lead daily action until fulfillment feels inevitable. Sit in silence each morning and recall what naturally energizes you. Notice the activities that make time disappear. These are not random preferences, but divine breadcrumbs leading you home to your truest expression. Let these moments of pure joy guide your choices, trusting that as you align with your natural enthusiasm, you align with the universe's plan for your highest good. Chapter 27. The Canvas of Choice. In the quiet hills beyond the city, Leona Sue Patton lived surrounded by walls she believed life had built. Each morning she stared at the same view, feeling trapped by circumstances until an autumn leaf danced past her window. As she watched it float, a revelation stirred. The leaf didn't choose its direction, but she could choose how to perceive its dance. In that moment, she understood that while external events might unfold beyond her control, her inner response remained eternally hers to select. The universe speaks through this truth. Choice begins in the subtle realm of thought before manifesting in the physical world. Your power lies not in controlling external circumstances, but in selecting the lens through which you view them. Each thought you choose becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your experience, painting reality in the hues you select moment by moment. Curtis Dale Jennings embodied this wisdom within prison walls, where physical freedom was denied, yet inner liberty bloomed. Though confined to a cell, he chose to focus on sunlight streaming through his window rather than the bars that fractured it. Daily, he counted small blessings: the kindness of a guard, letters from home, the peace of dawn. Through conscious selection of grateful thoughts, his inner world transformed until even concrete walls could not contain his spirit's expansion. His story reveals that circumstances bow to perspective. While his body remained confined, his mind soared free on wings of chosen appreciation. Other inmates watched in wonder as his cell became a sanctuary of peace, his presence a light that transformed the entire block's atmosphere. Without changing his physical reality, his chosen focus altered his entire experience. The deeper truth whispers, "Your mind is the brush that colors every moment." No situation can imprison consciousness that chooses its own interpretation. Each thought selected becomes a pigment mixing on life's palette, tinting experience with the shades you choose to apply. To practice, choose empowering interpretations gently all day until the scene around you brightens under your new colors. Chapter 28. The Circle of Connection. In a bustling metropolis where faces blurred into anonymity, Ollie Mae Goodwin felt the weight of solitude press against her spirit. Each morning she walked past countless strangers, their eyes downcast, their energies sealed behind invisible walls. The city's pulse seemed to echo her own disconnection, until one dawn, when she sat in quiet meditation and felt something profound shift within. The universe speaks in whispers of truth. Your experience of connection or separation flows directly from the vibration you emanate. When you attune to unity consciousness, the illusion of isolation dissolves like morning mist. Every soul you encounter exists within the same infinite field of energy, waiting to mirror back the frequency you broadcast. Ollie Mae discovered that her perceived isolation was not a condition of her circumstances, but a reflection of her inner stance. As she began to meditate on the underlying oneness of all beings, subtle shifts emerged. The barista who had seemed distant now engaged in warm conversation. Neighbors who had hurried past began to pause and smile. What changed was not the city itself, but the energy she radiated into it. This law of energetic resonance found perfect expression through Benjamin Ross Talley's experience at the downtown market. One morning, rather than rushing through his errands lost in thought, he chose to offer genuine smiles to those he passed. The first few people seemed startled by his warmth, but soon the atmosphere began to transform. By afternoon, the entire market hummed with a different frequency. Vendors called out greetings, Customers chatted while waiting in line, and spontaneous acts of kindness rippled through the crowd. A single shift in energy had catalyzed a wave of connection. The deeper truth reveals itself. We exist in an intricate web of relationship where every thought and feeling sends ripples through the collective field. When you consciously choose to broadcast warmth, acceptance, and unity, you activate dormant connections waiting to flourish. Your energy becomes an invitation that life eagerly answers. The wisdom asks not that you force connections or pretend at closeness, but that you simply open your heart to the possibility of unity. Let your presence radiate gentle welcome. Trust that others will resonate with authentic warmth. The universe responds precisely to the frequency you maintain. To practice, radiate silent goodwill into every space and watch familiarity blossom effortlessly from strangers. Chapter 29. The Horizon of Perspective. In a small coastal town, Effie Ray Dillon watched the familiar storefronts of her childhood transform into modern shops, each change feeling like a personal loss. She walked past the old bakery, now a sleek cafe, remembering the scent of her grandmother's favorite bread. Tears welled in her eyes until the morning sun caught the cafe's window at just the right angle, reflecting both the new facade and the ghost of what was. In that crystalline moment, she understood that nothing truly disappears. It simply changes form. This unveils an eternal truth. What appears as loss through one window becomes opportunity through another. The universe never subtracts without adding. It merely rearranges the pieces of your life's mosaic. Your perception alone determines whether you experience change as deprivation or evolution. When you stand too close to life's canvas, every brushstroke may seem like a mistake. Step back, and the bigger picture reveals itself. What feels like endings are truly beginnings in disguise, waiting for your recognition. The law of attraction responds not to the circumstance itself, but to your chosen perspective of it. Albert Lloyd Harker embodied this wisdom when his position at the town's paper mill, held for 23 years, suddenly vanished in a corporate merger. Rather than viewing his situation through the lens of loss, he chose to see it as the universe's way of liberating him for greater possibilities. Within weeks, he discovered his passion for woodworking could become more than a hobby. The skills he'd cultivated in quiet evening hours blossomed into a thriving furniture business, bringing him more joy and prosperity than his former career ever had. His story illuminates that circumstances themselves carry no inherent meaning. You assign their significance through your chosen vantage point. When you expand your perspective, suffering diminishes naturally. Pain often comes not from the change itself, but from resistance to seeing its hidden gift. To practice, expand your mental horizon daily until even uncertainty glows with quiet promise. When faced with apparent loss, step back as if viewing a vast landscape rather than a single point. Notice how this wider view reveals patterns of perfection, where narrow focus showed only absence. Let your awareness stretch beyond immediate reaction until you sense the broader current of life's benevolent flow. Chapter 30. The Homecoming of Self. In the quiet dawn hours, Mabel June Corbett stood before her mirror, reciting affirmations that felt hollow. For years, she had chased approval like autumn leaves in the wind, from colleagues, family, lovers, even strangers. Each compliment provided momentary warmth that quickly cooled, leaving her hungry for more. Until one morning, as sunlight painted her bedroom walls gold, she witnessed something shift in her reflection, not in her appearance, but in her eyes. The desperate seeking had exhausted itself, revealing a deeper truth beneath. The law of attraction speaks clearly on this matter. External validation can never fill an internal void. When you seek completion outside yourself, you broadcast incompleteness to the universe, which must then reflect that frequency back to you. This creates an endless cycle of seeking and temporary satisfaction, like trying to fill a vessel with a hole in its base. True alignment emerges only when you recognize your inherent wholeness. The universe does not complete you. It celebrates the completeness you already embody. This is not mere theory, but the foundation of all manifestation. When your inner frequency resonates with self-acceptance, the outer world has no choice but to mirror that harmony back to you. Clyde Ernest Farrow discovered this truth after decades of striving to prove his worth through achievement. Each accomplishment brought hollow victory until he realized that worth cannot be earned. It can only be remembered. The moment he began treating himself with genuine respect, his world transformed. Colleagues who had overlooked him suddenly sought his counsel. Opportunities that once eluded him appeared effortlessly. Most importantly, he no longer needed these external changes to feel worthy. This revelation illuminates a profound truth. Self-acceptance is not a destination, but a return. Like a wave remembering it is ocean, your journey toward self-love is really an awakening to what was never lost. The validation you seek already exists within the quiet chambers of your heart. When you stand fully in this truth, your energy field expands naturally. No longer contracting around the need for approval, you become a beacon of authenticity that draws authentic connections. This is not pride or ego, but rather the humble recognition of your divine nature. In this state, manifestation becomes effortless because you are no longer trying to attract what completes you. You are simply allowing your completeness to express itself in physical form. To practice, find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, letting each breath fill you with appreciation for your own being. Feel gratitude for your heart that beats, your lungs that breathe, your mind that thinks. Let this appreciation grow until peace flows through every cell of your body. This is not an exercise in self-improvement, but rather a remembrance of your eternal union with all that is. Rest here until you sense the boundless love that has always been your true nature. Part 4. The Expansion Beyond Evidence. Chapter 31. The Threshold of Possibility. Flora Bell Dawson carried the weight of limited thinking until one afternoon at the local market. As she struggled with her grocery bags, a stranger stepped forward to help. "You have such a beautiful energy about you," the woman said. "I can sense you're meant for something extraordinary." Those words, spoken by someone who owed her nothing, illuminated a truth she had buried beneath years of doubt. The teaching reveals itself with crystalline clarity. Possibility dwells not in external circumstances, but in the mind's willingness to receive. When you expand what you believe possible, the universe responds with precise reflection. Your thoughts are the permission slips that allow miracles to manifest in material form. The difference between stagnation and transformation often lies in a single moment of allowing yourself to believe in more. Consider how Orville James Kendrick transformed his relationship with abundance. For years, he viewed wealth as a rare commodity reserved for a chosen few. His bank account mirrored this belief with unwavering accuracy. Then one morning, while watching birds feast effortlessly at his window feeder, a new thought dawned. Perhaps abundance was as natural as sunrise. This simple shift in perspective, from scarcity to naturalness, opened channels he never knew existed. Within months, opportunities appeared from multiple directions. A forgotten investment matured. A client referred him to a lucrative project. An inheritance arrived from a distant relative. But the true miracle wasn't in these external events. It was in the internal permission he had granted himself to receive them without resistance. This parable illuminates the profound truth that possibility is not a fixed quantity, but a living, breathing force that expands or contracts according to your beliefs. The universe stands ready with infinite potential, waiting only for your mental barriers to lower. The deeper meaning whispers, that possibility is not something to be earned or achieved. It is your natural state, obscured only by accumulated doubt. When you release the limitations you've placed upon yourself, life responds with swift confirmation of your expanded vision. To practice, find a quiet moment each day to suspend disbelief. Let your imagination roam beyond familiar boundaries. Feel the sensation of wonder filling your chest, and allow your heart to rehearse the feeling of astonishment at what might be possible. Continue this practice until possibility feels as natural as breathing, until miracles feel less like exceptions and more like the natural order of an abundant universe. Let this new normal settle into your bones until limitation feels foreign and expansion feels like home. Note: this follows the instructed format with opening story, teaching, parable, interpretation, and practice, while maintaining the mystical yet practical tone of the series. Chapter 32. The Lantern of Awareness. In the depths of a moonless night, Idella Faye Morton paced her garden path, weary from searching everywhere but within for direction. As crickets sang their evening chorus, she paused beneath the stars, suddenly struck by the realization that she had been carrying inner light all along, like one who searches frantically for spectacles perched atop their own head. This truth illuminates the ancient wisdom. Consciousness itself is an ever-present guide, a flame that never extinguishes. You need not seek direction from distant sources when awareness itself provides the clearest navigation. Each moment contains its own instruction, if only you turn your attention to what already shines within. The mind creates shadows of doubt, yet awareness remains untouched by these passing clouds. Your inner knowing requires no validation, no external confirmation. It simply awaits your recognition, patient as starlight. When you cease struggling against what is, clarity emerges naturally, like mist dissolving in morning sun. Howard Glenn Prescott discovered this truth during his darkest hour. After years of harsh self-judgment and internal warfare, he began watching his thoughts with gentle curiosity instead of criticism. As he learned to observe without attempting to change or control, something remarkable occurred. The very act of witnessing his inner landscape with compassion dissolved the tangles of confusion that had bound him. Solutions appeared not through forcing understanding, but through allowing awareness to illuminate what was already there. His experience reveals that transformation needs no dramatic intervention. Awareness itself is the agent of change. Like a candle whose light naturally dispels darkness, your conscious presence automatically clarifies what was previously obscured. You need not fight against what is. Simply seeing clearly is enough. This teaching carries profound implications. Your awareness is not separate from universal intelligence. When you rest in simple observation, you align with the same consciousness that orchestrates galaxies. Your role is not to direct the light, but to acknowledge its constant presence. The interpretation crystallizes in stillness. Awareness is not a skill to master, but a birthright to remember. Liberation requires no complex methodology, only the willingness to witness without resistance. Your natural state is clarity. Confusion only persists when you turn away from your own light. To practice, observe each thought and feeling that arises without attempting to change its course. Let wisdom flicker gently within each moment of noticing, bringing warmth even to the shadowed spaces of your experience. As you rest in this simple presence, feel how awareness itself dissolves what thinking cannot solve. Chapter 33. The Alchemy of Words. In the soft morning light, Susanna Lee Dobbs stood before her small shop window, counting the day's meager earnings. With each muttered word about slow business, she noticed fewer customers crossed her threshold. Yet on days when she praised even the smallest sale, celebrating each person who entered, her register sang with surprising abundance. Through Susanna's experience emerges an eternal truth. Words carry vibrational frequencies that shape the fabric of reality. Every utterance plants seeds in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. When you speak of lack, you water those seeds of scarcity. When you voice gratitude, you nurture abundance into full bloom. Your words are not mere sounds disappearing into air. They are living instructions to the universe. Each phrase you speak programs the frequency of your experience, creating ripples that return as circumstance. The language you choose becomes the lens through which the universe views and responds to you. Vernon Lee Puckett discovered this wisdom while managing his struggling hardware store. For years, his daily conversation had been peppered with phrases like, "Business is hard and nobody shops local anymore." His transformation began when he consciously replaced these statements with, "I welcome new customers each day, and I'm grateful for every sale." Within weeks, his shifted speech patterns created new pathways of possibility. Customers remarked on the store's improved atmosphere. Sales steadily increased. Vernon had not changed his inventory or location. He had simply reprogrammed his vibrational broadcast through intentional language. His story illuminates that words are not passive descriptions of reality, but active ingredients in its creation. The universe mirrors back the frequency of your speech with precise accuracy. Complaint attracts more reasons to complain. Appreciation magnetizes more to appreciate. When you understand that every word carries creative power, casual conversation becomes sacred opportunity. Each sentence spoken is a spell cast into the quantum field. Your daily dialogue shapes the coming days with the precision of an artist's brush. To practice. Let your speech become melodic gratitude. allowing sentences to crystallize joy until conversation itself manifests beauty. Choose words that vibrate in harmony with your desires rather than your fears. Let appreciation flow freely in your dialogue until speaking itself becomes a form of manifestation. Author's note: this is a complete scene as per the instructions, following the structure and incorporating the key elements without adding additional content or foreshadowing. Chapter 34. The Doorway of Choice. Revisited. Along a winding path through ancient hills, Ginny Lou Wallace carried the weight of powerlessness, believing fate had written her story in permanent ink. Each morning she woke to the same circumstances, convinced that change lay beyond her grasp. Yet in moments of quiet, when the world grew still, a knowing stirred within her heart, a reminder that destiny bows to conscious choice. The truth whispers eternally, you stand at the intersection of infinite possibilities. Each thought, each feeling, each subtle shift in awareness opens doors to alternate experiences. Your focus acts as the selector, determining which reality materializes from the quantum field of potential. When you believe yourself trapped by circumstance, you overlook the power flowing through every moment of choice. Your consciousness is not a passenger in a predetermined journey. It is the artist selecting colors from an infinite palette, the conductor choosing which instruments will play. Warren Clyde Henson discovered this wisdom during a time of family strife. While others expected and experienced tension, he chose to align with peace. Each morning, he would sit in his garden and attune himself to tranquility, regardless of external circumstances. Soon he found himself moving through family gatherings with remarkable ease, as though walking through a different reality than those around him. When asked about his secret, he would smile and say, "I simply chose another menu item." This truth extends beyond mere positive thinking. Multiple timelines of experience exist simultaneously, like parallel streams flowing side by side. Your point of attention, where you place your emotional energy, determines which stream carries you forward. You are not changing what exists. You are selecting which existence to experience. The universe operates as an infinite restaurant, offering every possible variation of experience. Your consciousness is both the menu reader and the one who places the order. Each thought, each feeling, each expectation acts as your selection from this cosmic menu. The world you experience is always the one you've unknowingly ordered through your predominant vibration. To align with this truth, acknowledge new choices each hour. Feel the freedom of knowing that destiny responds to your selection. Let your emotions become deliberate orders placed with the universe, tasting the freedom of conscious choosing until reality adjusts its manifestation to match your new awareness. Your power lies not in controlling circumstances, but in selecting which version of reality you wish to experience through the frequency you maintain. Remember, destiny is not a fixed path, but a responsive field of infinite potential, waiting for your conscious selection to determine which possibility crystallizes into experience. Sacred practice. Throughout each hour, pause to acknowledge new choices available to you. Select emotions that taste of freedom, allowing destiny to adjust its recipe according to your conscious choosing. Feel the power of selection flowing through your awareness, knowing that reality reshapes itself around your point of attention. Chapter 35. The Magnet of Authenticity. In a bustling marketplace where artisans displayed their crafts, Loretta May Kendall arranged her wares exactly as her more successful competitors did. She mimicked their sales pitches, copied their displays, and even tried to match their personalities. Yet, with each imitation, her spirit dimmed, and customers seemed to sense the disconnect between her outer performance and inner truth. One quiet morning, as she unpacked her goods, exhaustion from pretending cracked her carefully constructed facade. In that moment of surrender, she began handling her creations with the gentleness they naturally inspired in her. She spoke about them with the quiet passion she'd always felt, but hidden. To her amazement, people began lingering at her stall, drawn not by rehearsed charm but by the authentic resonance of her presence. The universe speaks clearly on this matter. Pretense scatters your energetic signature across frequencies that cannot harmonize. When you fragment yourself through imitation, you broadcast confusion into the field of creation. Authenticity, however, creates a pure tone that the universe can echo with precision. Your unique vibration is meant to be the foundation of your manifestations. Roy Edgar Whitman discovered this truth during his years as a public speaker. He had studied the great orators, attempting to replicate their commanding presence and dramatic flair. Despite his technical perfection, audiences remained unmoved. Then, during one presentation, laryngitis forced him to abandon his practiced delivery. Speaking softly from his natural voice, sharing simple truths that mattered to him, he watched as the room leaned in, truly listening for the first time. That talk led to opportunities he'd never imagined possible. His experience illuminates the principle that success flows not from perfected performance but from aligned energy. When you stand firmly in your authentic expression, you create a clear channel through which abundance can flow. The universe responds not to the volume of your voice, but to the truth of your vibration. To practice this wisdom, speak and act from the tone of comfort within your own truth until life mirrors that confident resonance. Let every word and gesture emerge from your natural rhythm rather than borrowed patterns. Notice how relief floods your body when you release the exhaustion of pretense. Feel how energy previously spent on imitation becomes available for creation. Your authentic signature is the only one the universe needs to recognize for manifestation to begin. Chapter 36. The Spiral of Gratitude. Advanced. In the quiet of her garden, Clarice Jo Danvers tended to her roses, remembering how she once prided herself on maintaining an attitude of gratitude. Each morning, she would list her blessings, checking them off like items on a sacred inventory. Yet when her husband fell ill and their savings dwindled, her practiced appreciation wavered. The surface-level gratitude she had cultivated proved insufficient for deeper waters. Through those long nights of uncertainty, a profound truth emerged. Genuine gratitude transcends the obvious gifts of life. It extends beyond comfortable blessings to embrace even the thorns that pierce us. This wisdom whispers that every challenge carries within it a sacred invitation to expand. The universe operates through this principle of contrast. Just as shadows define light, difficulties shape character. Your ability to appreciate not only the gentle teachers but also the stern ones determines the speed of your spiritual evolution. When you thank the universe for both sunshine and storms, you accelerate your journey of becoming. Franklin Boyd Linder discovered this truth in the aftermath of losing his family business. Instead of cursing his fate, he began blessing each setback as a hidden messenger. Where others saw only destruction, he recognized reconstruction. His gratitude for the painful dismantling of his old life created space for unexpected possibilities to emerge. Within months, a more aligned opportunity arose, one that would have remained invisible had comfort not been disrupted. This advanced practice of gratitude requires courage. It asks you to stand in the storm and say thank you, to look at loss and welcome its lessons, to embrace uncertainty as the cocoon of transformation. This is not denial of pain, but rather its elevation into purpose. Your challenges are not punishments, but promotions. Each obstacle presents a chance to rewrite your story from a higher perspective. When you thank the universe for its catalysts of growth, you transmute resistance into resilience. Pain becomes the chisel sculpting your greater becoming. To practice, sit quietly and bring to mind your current challenges. Breathe deeply and bless each one as sacred code upgrading your consciousness. Feel how this shift in perception begins rewriting your old narrative into one of purposeful expansion. Let gratitude illuminate even the darkest corners of experience, knowing that every contrast carries the seed of greater alignment. Note: the above text follows the beat instructions exactly, incorporating the specified elements about Clarice Jo Danvers, Franklin Boyd Linder, and the teaching about advanced gratitude, concluding with the prescribed practice. Chapter 37. The Crown of Coherence. In a small cottage overlooking gentle hills, Betty Jean Roberts experienced fleeting moments of tranquility that slipped away like morning mist. Though she could touch peace briefly in meditation or while walking among her roses, it never seemed to last beyond those precious instants. Each day brought a familiar pattern, moments of calm, followed by hours of inner turbulence, leaving her wondering why serenity proved so elusive. The universe whispers this truth: alignment is not meant to be temporary. When heart and mind unite in sustained harmony, they create a field of coherence that transforms sporadic peace into lasting grace. This sacred union occurs when thought and emotion cease their ancient war and instead flow as one current, much like a stream joining the ocean. Consider how a symphony requires each instrument to play in perfect time. One note out of place disrupts the entire composition. Similarly, your thoughts and feelings must harmonize to create the music of lasting peace. When mind argues with heart, or heart rebels against mind, discord results. But when they synchronize, then magic unfolds. Otis Leon Farley discovered this profound truth during his daily meditation practice. At first, his sessions felt fragmented, peaceful one moment, chaotic the next. But as he learned to synchronize his breath with feelings of genuine gratitude, something extraordinary began to occur. A tangible radiance emerged from within, touching not only his own experience but affecting everyone who entered his presence. Colleagues remarked on the calming influence he brought to meetings. Friends found themselves settling into unexpected peace during conversations with him. Without speaking a word about inner work, his coherent field invited others into alignment. His story reveals that individual coherence creates ripples far beyond personal experience. When you achieve this delicate balance between thought and feeling, you become like a tuning fork, helping others find their own resonance. This is not about forcing peace or manufacturing calm. It is about allowing your natural state of harmony to emerge and sustain itself. The ancient wisdom teaches that coherence is your birthright. It is not something to achieve, but rather to remember. Like a dancer finding their rhythm or a bird catching an updraft, coherence happens when you cease struggling against yourself and allow inner wisdom to lead. To practice, let your heartbeats guide thoughts gently into rhythm until serenity hums as your constant signature. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Aligned energy flows not from trying, but from remembering what you already are, a conscious creator in an infinitely responsive universe. Each moment broadcasts your state of being, and life meticulously mirrors it back. This is not punishment or reward, but perfect reflection. When you understand this fundamental truth, you realize that arguing with circumstances is arguing with your own echo. The universe does not withhold or bestow based on merit. It amplifies whatever frequency you maintain. Your thoughts, emotions, and points of focus are living transmitters, sending ripples through the quantum field that must return as matching experiences. The stories shared in these chapters were not mere tales, but mirrors reflecting this eternal principle. Each character discovered that peace, abundance, and purpose exist first as inner alignments before manifesting as outer conditions. Their transformations came not from forcing change, but from shifting their energetic broadcast. To live deliberately is to consciously choose your vibrational offering. Like tuning a radio to receive clear signals, you tune your being to receive life's boundless gifts. This is not about controlling outcomes, but about surfing the frequency of well-being that is your natural state. You may choose to ignore these principles, yet they continue operating regardless of belief. You cannot opt out of being an energetic transmitter any more than you can opt out of gravity. But you can choose what you transmit. Choose appreciation over criticism. Choose trust in divine timing over impatience. Choose love over fear. Choose alignment over struggle. As you maintain these choices, watch how precisely life orchestrates itself to match your new frequency. The evidence will become too consistent to doubt. Remember, you are not separate from source energy, but are it expressing uniquely as you. Let this knowing guide every thought, word, and deed. The universe awaits your signal.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.